Good morning. Are you there?
Can you hear me
Good
today?
morning.
Yes, I can. That's why I'm here. So I just making sure the audio was working.
All right, great.
Okay, good. So y'all have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was fun and stressful,
Cool.
but it was okay.
I understand. So Jasmine, I take it you're feeling better?
Somewhat, not really, but I'm here.
You go, girl. We'll take that.
Yeah, we appreciate your effort to come out. Did you ever go to the doctor? Get
No, I
some
never
body
did
check?
go. I never did go. I just stayed in the bed.
Well, I hope.
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I was just in the bed all day long.
Well, when you called me Thursday morning, I thought, man, she is sick. I'm glad to see you're out moving. Maybe you're on the
Yeah, I got tired of
treadmill or
sitting at the
something.
house.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're feeling better. So, did y'all watch any basketball this weekend?
No, but I saw my bracket completely exploded. I mean, I'm
Man
done
alive.
now.
I tell you what, the only game I watched, which I didn't even watch at all, I watched. Well, I'll take it back. I watched the first half of the Gonzaga West Virginia game, and then I kind of fell asleep. So uh, I was disappointed West Virginia didn't win, but boy, they almost won. Uh, it Some of their baskets would have gone in. I think they would have beat them. They only shot 27%, uh, and that's pretty low. And they still almost beat Gonzaga. But that West Virginia, the UNC game yesterday, I watched like the last 10 minutes of it. I don't know what the first half was like, but the last 10 minutes was a spectacular game. And the Kentucky goes down there and they tie it up with like less than 5 seconds left to play, or somewhere around 5 or 6 seconds. And North Carolina goes down there and scores a basket with 3/10 of a second left on the game clock. That was an exciting game.
Which I didn't end up watching any of it. Which,
Well, that was all I saw. Uh, I had family in this weekend, so uh,
yeah, we did too. So
had a lot of work I had to do. Worked on my fence and worked on my pond. It's leaking. I don't know if I've solved the issue or not. Hopefully I did.
all right.
So anyway,
Well, I'm gonna step out. Y'all have fun.
all right. So Jasmine, Thursday you didn't miss anything in class because we had sound issues and nobody was here, so we just didn't have class because we weren't able to get it fixed before class was over. But anyway, uh, today what I wanted to go do, we've been talking about reproduction. Now that you've had some time to think about this stuff, what we went over Tuesday a week ago, and third for Monday and Wednesday. Uh, do you have any questions regarding the ester cycle?
No,
Any questions regarding the hormones?
no.
I showed this video Wednesday. It was just me here, but and it was kind of cut. I don't guess. Did you have a opportunity to watch it? Did it record?
I didn't. I haven't watched it yet. I was gonna watch it tonight.
Uh, All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll just show this to you today to make sure you see it, and that because I know the online students they may get upset. You're showing this thing twice. Um, but the reason being, guys, is I've tried to explain or try to tell you, uh, reproduction is one of your most important economic important traits. Uh, now that there's a guy, his name's Bert Tykert, and he's challenging that. Uh, and what his challenge is that his thing is your most important economically important deal is how many dollars per acre are you making. So he's about grazing and forage management, getting as much production from your land as possible. Now he's not wrong. I'm not going to dispute him about the importance of grazing management and getting as much per acre, making as much money per acre, getting as much weight gain per acre as possible within, or optimal. You don't want to go in the hole doing it. But, his way of looking at things is your pounds of calves or your pounds of calf that you sell per acre of how many acres you have. And that's the way he's looking at it. But at the same time, if your cows don't get pregnant, you don't have any calves to sell. So it's you got to get them pregnant in order for you to have and get them calved out and get the live calf on the ground in order to have them sold and sell them. Correct? So reproduction, it goes hand in hand with nutrition, because if we don't feed them properly, they're not going to reproduce. We take a look at how cattle partition their nutrients. What do you think is the most important, the nutrients that an animal takes in? How are they partitioned? What's the number one deal they're going to take care of first?
I think the energy would be the most important one.
Okay, but where are they going to use that energy and protein first? You understand what I'm saying? The animal
Um,
takes the energy, the protein, minerals, and water into their system, and vitamins. Where? What's the first thing that animal's going to? It's going to. Where's it going to be used?
it's going to be used toward itself before using it toward like a unborn calf.
Exactly. The number one thing it's going to be used for is to maintain their life, right? So that basal metabolism, you know, the calories that an animal burns every day just by staying alive through respiration, regulation of body temperature. Uh, that that's what it's going to go to first. Uh, where do you think? And this is going to be a test question, so you might want to write these down. Uh, so that basal metabolism is going to be the first thing it's going to be used for. Uh, what about the second thing? What's it going to? Where is it going to go from there?
Uh, to support the unborn calf.
Not yet. it's going to go to work. Okay, and when we think of work, we're thinking. I think it's work. I can't find my deal, but the first three deals. First one's going to be metabolism. Staying alive, regulating body temperature, walking to water, walking to get forage, the calories burned in digestion, things of that nature. Okay, respiration, what it's going to do to stay alive. And then you've got work, like a horse. That other energy, other than staying alive, it's going to go to, if you're riding it, working it in harness, or cattle, if it's a draft animal, uh, you know, of movement and work and growth. So, like, you think of cattle, beef cattle, you're not working them. They're not going out and being put in yokes and being draft animals. But those calves are growing. Uh, so you're going to have that basal metabolism. You're going to have growth. You're going to have that work in there. And then they're going to sit there. Like number 4 is going to be putting on excess weight. Or if it's a cow, lactating, that's going to be work. She's going to take care of herself, and then she's going to produce milk for a calf. And then, so if you put basal metabolism first, and you're going to have like work, or would come in like with the lactation, then you're going to have growth. Growth with those calves. You're going to have growth of putting on extra muscle, or gaining muscle tissue if the cow's thin, or putting down excess fat, putting down some extra fat, because you have to have a certain amount of body fat. So, that cow's going to take care of herself. She's going to take care of her baby if she's milking. That calf's going to grow. And then they're going to start looking at using those nutrients in order to lay down some muscle, lay down some fat. So now we're at number 4, number 5, right? Once they get in decent body condition, or a decent amount of muscle, they're healthy. They're not skinny, and they've laid down some fat. They're covering their metabolism and their growth needs, or their work needs. Then they're going to start thinking about cycling. Reproduction is not their main goal. They're going to take care of themselves, and if they have a baby, they're going to produce milk. May not be a lot. If they're skinny, they're going to try to keep that baby alive through milk production. But thinking about reproducing again, that's going to be like number 6 down the line. It's not going to be it's not very high on the priorities. And then if they do get pregnant, then they're going to sit there and use those nutrients for that fetus, and it starts growing. And then last but least, then it's laying down excess fat. They're taking in more calories than they possibly could use, and they're just going to lay down fat when the time gets up. So you've got about 8 ways that cattle partition nutrients. And I'm not too concerned about the exact order. What I am concerned about for you to know is that reproduction is like number 6, 5 or 6. It's pretty low on the totem pole. So it's important for us as producers to feed those cattle properly so they don't have to worry about partitioning those nutrients to stay alive and milk and grow and have adequate body condition. We need to feed them so that they have adequate body condition so we don't have to worry about those first 4 or 5 things. They've got enough on there in order for them to start thinking about reproduction. We're not really concerned about our cow herd having excess fat because in doing that, we're overfeeding. At least, in the wintertime, getting fat. We don't want that. It's going to cost us money. It's not going to do us a lot of good. But we want them in that body condition score of about 6, 5 to 6, preferably closer to 6, 5.5 to 6. And you're always going to have outliers. You're going to have some that's heavy, some fatter, some skinny. But you want your main herd right there. You can separate out the skinny ones and feed them better, or eventually cull them if they don't fit your program. Get rid of those and get cattle that do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So reproduction is not very high on the list of animals to worry about. They won't take care of themselves. So these hormones with GnRH and prostaglandin and progesterone and FSH and LH and estrogen on these cows, if they don't have proper nutrition, it's not going to work properly. They're just going to shut down. So nutrition is so important with reproduction. They go hand in hand. And then the way these hormones interact, we just have to have proper nutrients for that cow to get pregnant. And then we run into the idea of synchronizing your cows and getting them all bred at the same time. How do we use those nutrients, or how do we manipulate those hormones in order to do that? I tell you what, I'm not going to show that video right now. You can watch it at home. And what I want you to pick up, signs of heat. We discussed before. We saw some of that in the first video. I want you to figure out the 3 main hormones that we use to synchronize estrogen. And I'll tell you, it's GnRH, progesterone, and estrogen. Those 3 hormones are what we use. Not estrogen, progesterone. GnRH, progesterone, and prostaglandin. Those are the 3 ones. Prostaglandin, GnRH, progesterone. Know those and know how they work. Okay? Why does prostaglandin work? Why can we give a cow cycling a shot of Lutamize and she'll come in and feed? Or why can we use GnRH? What does GnRH do? What does progesterone do? And when we use them in combination, why does all this work? So, the test questions I would ask, it wouldn't be what's the difference between co-sync and select sync synchronization methods. I can't keep that stuff straight. I'm not going to ask you to keep it straight. But I will ask, what are the 3 hormones that we use to synchronize beef cattle? And why do they work? What's the purpose of each of those hormones? What do they do? Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you understand what they do, then when you go to actually do it, you're going to be more meticulous. That's the way I think about it. You know, instead of saying, "Oh, I got to give this shot, put in the cedars, and you come back and you got cedars, give another shot." If you don't understand what it does and why it works, I don't think you'll be as particular about it. So I think you need to understand the science behind that to make it work better. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what I want to go over today is uh, I want to go over the bulls. It takes two to tango, right? You got, in order to get a cow pregnant, you got to have a cow that's cycling or a female that's cycling, and you got to have a fertile bull, correct?
Yes.
So, if our bulls aren't fertile, are we going to get our cows pregnant no matter what we do?
No.
We're not, unless we're AI and we buy the semen. But our bulls aren't going to go out there and get our cows pregnant if they're not working properly. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, we watched a video about the female reproductive tract and the hormones with that. Let's talk a little bit about the bull side of it, okay? Because it's just as important. I think a lot of times producers overlook the bulls. They go and they buy bulls, and then they turn them out, and they don't really think about it anymore. Or when it comes breeding season, they just turn the bulls out, and they don't know whether that bull's good or not. He was good last year; he'll be good this year. May not be the case. So let's talk a little bit about the bull reproductive anatomy and physiology, and then some things we need to do with our bulls. So if we take a look at the bull's reproductive tract, now this is on Blackboard under reproduction with the bull anatomy and physiology. This is a picture of the bull's reproductive tract. We have the scrotum down here that holds the testes. Now, and bulls have a pendulous scrotum. Okay, they just hang down there. And the reason, you know, the scrotum, if you watch bulls or take a look, you know, just kind of watch animals, sperm production, you know, is constantly going on, and it's very heat temperature dependent. If it gets really hot, or you know, there's heat stress, we can damage the sperm when they're produced. They can have abnormalities, and they're not able to swim properly up the female reproductive tract. So the scrotum regulates the temperature of the testes. And so if it's really hot, they allow the testes, you know, to swing down or you know get further away from that body cavity to cool off. If it's cold, they'll draw up closer to that body cavity to keep a constant temperature. So the scrotum, you know, it'll relax in hot weather and you know shed some of that heat to maintain the ideal temperature for sperm production. Cold weather will draw up and get the testes close to the body. And so scrotum holds testes, and so that's this oval-like structure here to the where all the sperm production takes place. And there's different stuff going on in the testes. If you take a look at it, a cross section of it, there's a lot of little tubes in there and a bunch of different cells. And one type of cell is the lady dig cells. Another type are the Sertoli cells. And the Leydig cells and the Sertoli cells, one of them, I think it's the Sertoli cells, they're kind of like nurse cells for the sperm. The Leydig cells produce testosterone. So they're both very important, and then you have those little tubes in there where sperm production takes place, these little vesicles. And as the sperm mature, they'll go down here toward the tail of the epididymis and finish out their maturation. Or the head, and they'll travel down here to the tail. And then during ejaculation, they'll travel up this vas deferens. And you have accessory sex organs in the bull, like seminal vesicles and the Cowper's gland and the prostate gland. And what they do, they add fluid, the seminal fluid to the semen. And a lot of these, like the Cowper's gland, it adds the clear liquid prior to the semen coming out to help lubricate the reproductive tract. And prostate gland and the seminal vesicles add more of the semen to the sperm, the seminal fluids to the whole makeup. You have the semen, but you have the sperm and the seminal fluids. And these seminal fluids, they serve a couple of purposes. The female reproductive tract is acidic to try to keep infection down. So the male accessory sex organs, the seminal fluid it adds to the sperm, the fluids they add to it buffers that acidic environment. Otherwise, it can kill the sperm. It needs a neutral pH. So it has buffers in there, and it also has a lot of sugars in there to keep that sperm alive, nutrients to feed. Make sense?
Yes.
So the seminal vesicles and the prostate gland and the Cowper's gland are your accessory sex organs that add seminal fluid to the sperm. You have the urinary bladder, the bladder here that lays up here toward the back of the bull. And once that semen comes up through the vas deferens and it goes into the urethra, and the bladder, the urine also goes into the urethra for excretion. Now, we see here on this picture, we have this kind of S curve of this bull's penis. It's called the sigmoid flexure. And so when the bull becomes erect, gets an erection, these muscles contract. They relax and allows the penis to come out through the sheath down here below the bull and allow that erection. And the penis has a lot of spongy tissue around it that in an erection it gets So, and there's this muscle here that allows this curve to take place and relax and allow the extension of the penis here, copulation, or it will retract and bring it back up. So that's kind of the down and dirty of the lower reproductive tract. Uh, but it's important to understand this stuff because temperature, environmental temperature can have a lot to do with that quality of sperm. So scrotum really works with that temperature control for that sperm production. So you can read about these uh, accessory glands and stuff. Now, sperm, that's this picture right here is what a normal sperm looks like. You have the head and the tail down through here, and the thing can just swim. Now, you get abnormalities, and these things don't work right. They don't swim. And if they can't swim up that reproductive tract, they're not going to go up there to that to the uterine, up past they're not going to make it up to into the uterine horns to up past those horns in order to meet the follicle to get to fertilize that egg. So if that head is shaped different, or you have a double head, or it's that head's not, again, here's another abnormality that after some, or you have a swollen mid piece right here, he's not going to be able to swim, or it's coiled, or a double tail, or even if this tail comes out and it's kinky, they're not going to be able to swim properly, and they're not going to be able to go up into the isthmus of the uterus, those uterine horns, in order to meet, to fertilize that egg. It affects the swimming. It affects the attachment to that cumulus mass, and also where, if you remember that video, said it attached to the lining of the uterus, to the uterine horns waiting for ovulation. They're not able to attach. They'll get them. So we want to make sure every year that our bulls are producing enough sperm and inadequate. The other thing we got to look at too is the penis. If that penis is impaired in any way, it's not going to work. One of the things we get a lot with bulls, you'll see a lot of hair rings in that penis, and that's going to impede them having an erection, or and therefore copulation. So that hair accumulates and builds a ring around there, or they get growths there at the end of the penis that can hurt as well. So they're not going to breed if it hurts. Here the penis is doubled back behind itself, so you're not going to have proper, the semen's going to be deposited further back in the vagina, and can get flushed out when she urinates easier instead of being deposited closer to the cervix. And that's what a normal one should look at. A normal penis should look at. So what we want to do every year is get our bulls in and give them breeding sound decision. We're going to use you can use an electroejaculator, or you can go in here to the rectum and massage these muscles here, these pelvic muscles along the vas deferens, and create a direction of ejaculation. You can collect that and look at it under the microscope and look at the sperm and look at the number, collect the volume, look at the sperm, make sure they're normal, make sure it's an adequate quantity of ejaculate that they release, an adequate quantity of sperm, and then you can do a physical soundness exam as well. Take a look at that penis and make sure there's no abnormalities there as well. So doing these breeding soundness exams on your bulls every year is very important. Another thing you're going to look at in these breeding soundness exams are is conformation. They just take a look at the animal. Is he hurt? Is he limping? Did he mess up his hip or anything else? Because if they're lame, they're not going to breed. It hurts them. Or it's just going to be impossible given the amount of cow to breed. So every year, a couple of months prior to turnout, actually, you usually do it. If you're breeding in March or in June, you have a calf in March, you're going to be you want to do this about February, simply because we're having the spring's full of bull sales prior to breeding season. So any of your bulls that fail this breeding soundness exam, you're going to get rid of them, and you need to buy back. So you need to make sure you do this early enough so that you can go to these bull sales and buy bulls. You want to give yourself plenty of time prior to breeding season. Make sense?
Yes.
So one of your management deals that you're going to do every year is do a breeding soundness exam on your bulls. It needs to be done. And there are all sorts of horror stories out there about people, kicking their bulls out, and their cows all ended up open. A friend of mine last year, and he's a good producer. He does the breeding soundness exams every year, and the breeding soundness exams doesn't guarantee that bull is going to breed a cow, but it will eliminate your problem bulls. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Just because that sperm and everything looks normal doesn't mean it's actually going to work. Or the bull has that sex drive out there to go breed cows, that libido, that sex drives libido. And so, he had plenty of bull power, and turns out that one of his bulls wasn't fertile. It passed the breeding soundness exam. There's no abnormal sperm in there, but they just weren't productive. And so he had a few extra open cows in that boundary where that bull was, because the other bull, he usually turns out 2 bulls with his cows in case one doesn't work good. And in that case, it paid off. But he did have a higher percentage of open cows. But there are stories about, a small herd. The guy only has 1 bull, and that bull is bad, but he didn't, he could, and the breeding soundness exam probably could have eliminated that issue. In this case, it didn't. And that's an odd deal. And the other thing you run into with bulls is they'll get hurt during the breeding season. I've seen bulls with broken penises. In this mountain country we live in, it's nothing unusual for them to be mounting the cow on the side of the hill, and the cow stumbles and breaks the penis while he's penetrating, while they're breeding. And of course, that bull's out for the season. So, we only use our bulls a couple months out of the year, and generally the rule of thumb for bulls is 1 mature bull for 25 cows. That's kind of the old standard everybody goes by. In small pastures, you can probably get by. You can probably raise that number up to about 30 cows. But in reality, play it safe. That's my thing. You want to have, even though you do those reproductive exams on them, he can still be, may not be shooting blanks, as the old saying goes. So, uh, that sperm may not be able to be fertile. So, it's not going to hurt to have an extra bull in there. So, um, you don't want to shortchange yourself on the bull side of it. And I know bulls are expensive and it costs to feed them year round. And if you're doing AI, that really extends out the number of bulls that you have, or reduces the number of bulls you have to have, because we're just basically using those as what they call a cleanup situation, where they're just, hopefully 60, 70, or even higher percent of your cows. If you have a good AI technician, everything works according to plan. You'll have 70 plus percent of your cows get bred through artificial insemination. So, you know, you're always going to have a few cows that don't get bred AI. So you're always, then you want to come back and heat check again in 18 days, or you just get the bulls out. Most people do nowadays. They'll synchronize, do mass inseminate, do a timed insemination type situation, and then kick the bulls out with those cows. So instead of coming back and heat checking AI. But it's important, you can't shortchange the bull. So when we think about the male hormones, we've talked a lot about the hormones in the female. The main hormone in the male is testosterone, and it's produced by I'm sorry, I told you wrong. It's produced by the interstitial cells, not the serotonin, or the lady. It's produced by the interstitial cells. And testosterone has several functions, so you need to know these functions. It's responsible for the development and maintenance of the male reproductive tract. It causes the development and maintenance of the secondary sex characteristics associated with masculinity, such as the crest and the heavy muscle shoulders of the bull. It's the major factor in the sex drive and the behavior of males. It increases muscular and skeletal growth, and it is essential for sperm production. And so what research has shown is that the larger the testes, single gonad in the male is called a testicle, plural is testes. Okay. So the bigger that scrotum is and the testes, the more testosterone he produces. So in this case, the bigger is the better, because the more testosterone they produce, the more sperm they produce. The more sperm they produce, the increase the chances of pregnancy in your cows, and they can breed more cows. So that's important. You got to have that sperm production. The bigger is better. The other interesting fact about this that research has shown the size of the testes, the scrotal circumference they call it. Bulls with the larger scrotal circumference, their daughters will reach sexual maturity faster, or hit puberty faster than bulls with a small scrotal circumference. So, when we're thinking about breeding our yearling heifers, the more estrus cycles they have prior to breeding, we're going to have a better chance of getting them bred. So another reason we measure scrotal circumference, not just for sperm production, but if we're keeping back our females, the bulls with the larger scrotal circumference, their daughters are going to reach puberty quicker than bulls with the smaller scrotal circumference. Now, if you think back to the female reproductive system and their hormones, we talked a lot about luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. What do you think the purpose of luteinizing and follicle stimulating hormone are in bulls? Because they don't produce follicles, right? And they don't ovulate. So, do you think that those two hormones play a role in the male reproductive physiology?
I don't think so.
Actually, they do. In the male, it's kind of misnamed. You know, we still call it luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Uh, you know, we know that's from the pituitary gland. Um, but FSH and LH, they cause the testicle to secrete testosterone. And then that testosterone uh, is used, you know, stimulates the production of sperm cells. And then um, for that sperm to fully mature, it requires FSH. So FSH and LH, they cause the testes to secrete testosterone. You know, it's being produced there in the testes and the interstitial cells. Testosterone is, but LH and FSH cause them to be secreted, and then that testosterone uh, stimulates the formation of sperm cells, and in order for that sperm to fully mature, it has to it requires the presence of FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. So it plays an important role in the bull as well. So let's talk a little bit about this physical examination of breeding soundness. We talked why it's important and kind of some things they look at. Let's go in there and get a little bit more specific. Now, we said we can go in there and massage those muscles to cause that bull to have, through rectal palpation, massage those muscles and they'll have an erection and ejaculation. The other way we can do that is what's called an electro-ejaculator. And it's a big probe about yay long. And we can insert, and it's got electrodes on the bottom of it. And we can insert that into the rectum of the bull and produce a mild electric shock, which causes an erection, ejaculation. And it's a lot quicker normally. And that's just kind of what most vets use. And so during that electroejaculation, when that bull's extended, we look at the penis for hair rings or any abnormalities, any of the growths on the tip of the penis. Uh, so we're just make sure it's not cut, make sure everything's healthy, uh, and then we collect a sample of the semen. Uh, And then in that semen evaluation, we look at volume. How much did they produce? The more the better, right? The concentration of sperm. How much sperm is in that volume of semen? And then we're looking at the morphology and the motility of that sperm. We're going to make sure they're normal. They look normal. Uh, and we're going to make sure they're swimming around in the motor. Any questions?
No.
Okay. The other thing we're going to look at on that bull with that physical examination, we're going to make sure they got good sound feet and legs. There's no lameness, and you know they can see. And then we're also going to measure that scrotal circumference. Size is important to those testes. You remember why?
Because it produces more testosterone.
That's right. The bigger they are, the more testosterone they produce. The more testosterone they produce, more sperm they should produce. And also, size of the testes relates to that bull's daughters to reach puberty at an early age. The bigger, the larger that testicular size, the scrotal circumference is, those daughters will reach puberty quicker. So that's important. So, when we're taking a look at that scrotal circumference, we also we want for yearling bulls, the minimum circumference we want is 32 centimeters when they're a year old. If they're smaller than that, we don't want those bulls at all. So if they're 32 centimeters at the widest point of that scrotum, they're going to be all right for yearling bulls. That's the minimum we want. And the other thing while we're down there measuring that circumference, we're going to palpate those testes or the scrotum and palpate the testes and make sure everything feels normal. There's no hard bumps that shouldn't be there, no hot spots or soreness. We're just going to palpate them and make sure everything feels the way they should be, the way they should feel. So that's you gotta do those. It's important. Any questions regarding those?
No.
Okay. So that's going to be something you want to do every year with that. So that pretty much finishes up our reproduction. We talked about the female reproductive tract and the hormonal control. We talked about the male reproductive tract and the hormonal control. We talked about estrous synchronization and the hormones that we use and why they do what we do. And breeding soundness exams and the importance of nutrition and reproduction, how it relates. Do you have any questions regarding that?
No.
Okay. Here's a YouTube video we'll watch. It's not very long, about breeding soundness exams. And let's just watch this real quick.
even though we may be still in the midst or the latter part of the spring calving season, it's not too early to visit with your veterinarian about a breeding soundness exam for the bulls that you're going to use in this upcoming spring breeding season. In many cases, that'll begin in late April and certainly by the first part of May for most cow-calf operations that have spring calving herds here in Oklahoma or across the Midwest. When you schedule a breeding soundness exam with your veterinarian, expect that he or she will have 4 different things that they will do with your bull during that breeding soundness exam. The components of a good exam would include a physical evaluation of the general health of the bull, such things as his body condition, eyes, feet, teeth, making sure that there's no disease problems that are evident with the bull. Then there will be an external exam of the reproductive tract or the underline of the bull to see if there are any particular injuries or infections that may be a problem for that bull in terms of his potential fertility. There will be an internal exam done rectally to make sure that the secondary sex organs of the reproductive tract of that bull are sound, healthy, and doing the job and supplying the fluids in the semen that are necessary for normal fertility. And of course, then there will be the microscopic exam of the sample of the semen taken from the bull. In that microscopic exam, the veterinarian will look to see if there's a high percentage of the cells that are forwardly motile, making good progress across the visual field of the microscope as they look through it. Also, then individual cells will be evaluated for their shape. And we expect that a bull would have greater than 70% normally shaped cells as they're evaluated underneath the microscope. If the bull does not pass any of these 4 components, then he will be listed as probably classification deferred, which means that we may need to recheck him in 4 to 6 weeks. If it's an older bull, this may mean that you would want to just go ahead and market the bull and have him replaced. If it's a new, young, yearling age bull, then certainly I think it'd be a good idea to have the bull rechecked before the start of the breeding season. Chances are he's just reaching maturity and he will then pass that breeding soundness exam. Doing this so that we have 30 to 45, even more days if possible, to replace bulls that do not pass a breeding soundness exam is a very, very good idea. Statistics say that about 1 out of every 6 will not pass a breeding soundness exam. And one more item to include as you visit with your veterinarian: if the bull that you're using has had previous experience with somebody else's herd and they haven't done a trichomoniasis test on that bull, then certainly suggest that your veterinarian talk to you about that. That's one way to prevent bringing that very, very devastating reproductive disease into your herd. Take a time to visit your veterinarian, schedule visits for the bulls that you have ready to go for this upcoming breeding season, and let's identify any bulls that may be potential problems. Hey, we look forward to visiting with you again next week on Sunup's Cow-Calf Corner.
Just on what it looks like. See if they do it. I don't know if this guy is talking about it or actually demonstrates it. Let me look here. Looks like he's just talking about it. Not sure. Let's take a look at this one. See if they do it here.
Ideal Instruments Electrodeck 6 provides the practitioner with a useful, friendly, durable.
This is an electro ejaculator, and they'll demonstrate I think they demonstrated how this thing works. So you have an idea. If you become a vet, you'll have to get one or one similar to this. But you can see how this works.
And powerful tool to evaluate breeding soundness potential. The breeding soundness exam is a useful tool in the evaluation of the potential reproductive capabilities of a bull. Some indications for a soundness exam would be in a pre-purchase situation, yearly as a pre-breeding evaluation of a bull being put into the herd, or in a post-breeding situation when trying to determine the cause of recognized reproductive failure. The exam itself consists of a physical examination as well as a semen evaluation. The physical examination includes observing the bull's physical condition for indicators of general health, such as body condition score. Although an obese bull is not desirable, it is usually advantageous to carry a little extra weight at the beginning because he will be expected to lose weight during the breeding season. This is especially true of bulls that may be coming from a feed trial to the breeding pasture. Teeth should be evaluated to ensure adequate food intake. Watch him walk, looking for existing lameness, interdigital fibromas, or uneven growth, which may indicate a conformational defect, because generally the claws should wear evenly. This should ideally be done while the bull is in an unconfined area, such as pasture or lot. These are important because if a bull cannot walk or support himself on 4 legs, he is going to have difficulty during breeding when only using 2. Look at his eyes for problems such as pink eye scars or squamous cell carcinoma. Problem with eyes are a factor because the majority of a bull's recognition of cows in estrus is done visually. The scrotal circumference is measured and compared to guidelines based on the age of the bull at the time of the examination. Scrotal circumference has been shown to be an indicator of sexual maturity, semen traits, and testicular health in both the bull itself as well as its offspring. Other parts of the physical examination include visualization and palpation of the penis in the sheath. While the penis may be manually exteriorized, this is usually accomplished during the semen collection when the bull has achieved an erection and extension. Looking and palpating for potential problems, such as hair rings, fibropapillomas, or warts, adhesions, or scarring from penile hematomas or penile deviations, like a persistent frenulum. Also, an eversion of the prepuce or extremely pendulous sheath may predispose the bull to penile injuries. The testicles should also be palpated again, looking for irregularities, areas of inconsistency, areas that are too hard or too soft, discrepancies in size between one testicle and the other. The epididymis should be palpated, looking for irregularities or discrepancies from one side to the other. In addition, the accessory sex glands will be palpated rectally. The bull has 3 accessory sex glands: the vesicular glands, the bulbourethral glands, and the prostate gland. These glands primarily produce the bulk of the seminal fluid and aid in cleansing the urethra prior to ejaculation. The bulbourethral glands are situated too far cranially to be palpated, but the others, along with the ampulla vas deferens and the pelvic urethra, are palpated for detection of irregularities in size or consistency, which might indicate the association of an infection, inflammatory process, or abnormality. The actual semen collection of a breeding soundness exam is typically done with an electroejaculator, such as the ElectroJack-6, manufactured by Neogen Corporation. In essence, this unit provides an electrical current through a rectally placed probe to stimulate the nerves below the rectum that innervate the reproductive organs of the bull. Once the rectal probe has been inserted, the practitioner will initiate the current flow to stimulate the bull. The ElectroJack-6 has 2 settings for this, an automatic setting and a manual setting. The automatic setting cycles through 40 2-second on-off pulsating cycles that increase in half-volt increments. The unit is designed to be controlled with a remote device. The digital readout displays the current cycle, and the unit will increase in intensity until it reaches the maximum setting, then cycles back to the beginning. The dwell button can be used to hold the intensity of the given output while maintaining the on-off pulsating flow of current. The manual setting allows the practitioner to accomplish the same scenario using the rheostat knob. The purpose of the stimulation is to produce an erection, penile extension, and ejaculation that result in a sample of adequate size to determine semen motility and morphology. It is not necessarily representative of a physiological sample in the volume of the ejaculate. The second part of the breeding soundness exam is the semen evaluation. It is further broken down into semen motility and morphology. The motility relates to the actual progressive movement of the sperm and is recorded as both a visual gross motility rating and as a percentage of individual sperm that are progressively motile. Obviously, outside influences such as dilution of sperm, presence of urine in the sample, and environmental insults such as heat, cold, or chemical contamination of the collection equipment can all affect the semen motility. The morphology relates to abnormalities that may be present in a certain percentage of the sperm cells. It is useful because an increase in the amount of abnormal sperm is a reflection of abnormalities or lesions of the testes or the duct system. These sperm abnormalities are usually classified as primary or secondary abnormalities, which relates more to their origin than to their consequence to fertility. Generally speaking, an increased number of abnormalities involving the head of the sperm originate from the testes, while a large number of tail abnormalities indicate ependymal dysfunction. When all of this information is collected, the bull's individual characteristics are compared to guidelines which have been established by the Society of Theriogenealogy as minimum standards in semen motility and morphology and age-related scrotal circumference. These values, in addition to its physical examination results, combine to give the bull a final classification of either a satisfactory potential breeder, unsatisfactory potential breeder, or a deferred or questionable classification, which would likely result in a re-examination at a later date. It should be pointed out that although the exam is useful in evaluating the reproductive status of the bull, it does not measure libido. While you can assess the bull's physical condition and determine that he has adequate sperm and is able to be successful at reproduction, his actual desire to mate is not evaluated. The complete ElectroJack 6 includes an electronics instrument case, a wireless remote control, a semen collection director cone, semen collection vials, semen collection handle assembly, a bull probe, a 20-foot probe cable assembly, an AC charger, metric scrotal tape, a carrying case, and a gel cell battery, capable of more than 250 collections on a single battery charge. The ElectroJack 6, the ideal choice.
Okay. That kind of gave you an idea about kind of show you what they did, what they do in a breeding soundness exam, right? Any questions? What do you think about that? Is that the first time you saw that?
Yeah, that was the first time I ever seen that.
Okay. It's kind of interesting to see. Now, have you ever, we were talking about signs of estrus. I used to do a lot of heat checking before we started doing more time inseminations, but it's still part of your deal. A lot of times you'll do synchronizations, and after the synchronization, you pull out the cedars and stuff. You'll heat check, and then you'll breed those cows accordingly, and then after so many hours, you'll breed everything else, depending on the protocols you're using. So let me show you this video about about heat checking, of what to look for. We talked about those signs, but
OSU Extension Beef Coordinator, and today we're going to visit with you on the topic of heat detection of beef cattle. The vast majority of beef cattle in the United States are mated through natural service or bull matings. In fact, the 2007-2008 National Animal Health Monitoring Systems beef study indicated that just under 8% of the beef cattle in the United States are mated through artificial insemination. The diagram shown on this slide does an excellent job of outlining the significant events associated with estrus in cattle. There are a few key points to focus upon in this timeline, and they are the standing heat period and the time of ovulation or egg release. Standing heat can last up to 18 hours depending on various conditions such as animal and environmental variations. A key concept also to remember is that ovulation typically occurs at 28 to 30 hours after the onset of standing heat. We also need to understand the concept of semen capacitation. Semen needs to be in the uterus at least 6 hours prior to ovulation to allow for fertilization of the egg to occur. Once the egg is released, there's typically a period of 6 to 10 hours to allow for egg fertilization. These facts indicate that in artificial insemination, we would breed a female in a time frame ranging from early to mid-standing heat until shortly after the end of standing heat to achieve optimum conception rates. The primary sign of estrus or heat in cattle is when the female stands when mounted by other animals. Another primary sign is a clear mucus discharge, often seen from the vagina of the female. Some of the secondary signs of estrus or heat include a general increase in physical activity of the female, active attempts to mount other females, a swollen vulva, dirt or mud on the flanks, and a roughened hair coat on the tailhead. In this scene, we see evidence of two stages of heat or estrus. One female is in the early stages of heat as she is trying to mount the other female. Meanwhile, the other female resists attempts to be mounted and is no longer in standing heat. It is not unusual to see females grouped together when they are in heat. Here we see 4 females grouped together with one female aggressively mounting another that is in standing heat. Successful heat detection takes time, and it's a good idea to take extra time to observe cows that are in larger groups. This can be an indication that there may be more than one cow in heat at a particular time. Frequent observation of the herd can help you identify aggressive bull calves. These aggressive bull calves can prove to be valuable aids in heat detection. In situations where multiple females are in standing heat, the aggressive bull calves are excellent heat detectors, as they will be just as active in mounting females as are other females that are in standing heat. After a period of time, females begin to show signs of no longer being in standing heat. Here we see a female that is starting to go out of standing heat as she is beginning to walk away from the female mounting her. Here we also observe the alternating head-to-tail stance associated with various stages of standing heat. Females that are no longer in standing heat tend to ward off the advances of other animals wanting to be near them by headbutting or pushing them out of the way. There are commercial heat detection aids available to the producer. One such aid commonly used is the Estrotec heat detector patch. The heat detector patches can be applied to the female by peeling them off the paper strip and placing the adhesive side to the mid to front tailhead region of the female. When a female is in standing heat, the mounting female applies pressure to the patch and eventually wipes away the initial gray substance off the patch, leaving the colored patch as shown. These patches come in multiple colors. Be careful not to confuse scratches on a patch as an indication of standing heat. This patch indicates scratching from a tree branch, fence wire, or other object. Mounting activity by animals tend to wear the patch in a larger, more uniform area. Another item that can serve as a useful heat detection aid is the paint stick marker. The marker is used by applying a liberal coating of the marker across the tailhead in a front to rear motion, Animals mounting a female that is in standing heat will rub away the marker from pressure applied by frequent mountings. As stated earlier, the most frequently used heat detection aid in cow-calf production is the herd sire. However, if you are utilizing artificial insemination or hand breeding with a bull, proper heat detection is an important skill to possess to help achieve high conception rates. For more information on this or any other beef-related topic, go to the OSU.
Okay. Those pads work really well. Uh, they use. They're pretty neat. They used to have one called a Kmart patch, and it was like a little clear tube, and it had some chemicals in there. When that pressure from the cow mounting another cow, you put it on the tail head like you did those estimate pads. Uh, but it would break the plastic in that Kmart pad, and it would turn red. Now the problem with these pads are actually better because a tree limb would break it, or sometimes they didn't break. So these pads are a whole lot better than those Kmart's. But the Kmart's wasn't good. The other thing we did too, and this was cheap, we'd go up Lowe's and buy paint, whatever paint was on sale, latex paint, and we'd buy some ugly color they wanted to get rid of, like lime green or pink or something. And we'd paint that tail head, and it works just the same as that crayon, because it would get roughed up when they mount them. This one place when I was cowboyed out in Colorado, what they did, they used what they called Gomer. They took bulls that, or they just took some bulls, or weren't good bulls, and they did I can't remember what they did to them. There's different things you can do to them. You can go in there and do DVA the penis. So when they breed, it shoots out crooked. When they extend their penis, instead of coming straight out, it goes off to the side. And so it's impossible for them to penetrate the female. Or you can do a vasectomy on them, so the sperm doesn't go through the vas deferens. And anyway, so we used some of those Gomer bulls. They might have done the vasectomy bulls. They still have that sex drive, and we run them through a head catch, and we had a chin marker, they called it. It's kind of like a halter, and underneath the chin was this metal container with a big ball in the bottom of it, like a ballpoint pen. And you'd put paint in there, and when they bred a cow, and they in the chin, their chin would get up there, and they put paint all over it. So we got there and heat check, and the bulls, they're breeding, they're breeding the cow. Cows standing heat. We anchored breeder artificial insemination. Or if we missed her, we didn't see it. We just saw a bunch of paint on there. We yanked it because it's fairly fresh paint. Because we did a lot of AI out there in Colorado and the Stewarts. I spent hours upon hours heat checking, and it's kind of interesting different things they done. The Gomer bulls was interesting. Those bull calves, they work really good as well. They'll really let you know the cows in heat. But anyway, we're out of time, and so what we'll do, I'll put an exam together, and we'll have an exam on reproduction and genetics next week, probably like next Tuesday. All right.
Okay.
We postponed this exam a couple weeks. I wanted to cover it because we really hadn't gone over a whole lot. So we'll do we'll have an exam next week, and I'll send out an announcement for the online students. With that. So I'll probably just make it accessible on Blackboard. That'd probably be the easiest. So anyway, you have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Hey, I hope you feel better.
Thank you. Oh, I still haven't taken that test for HR. I plan on taking it tomorrow.
Okay, good. Yeah, I noticed that the other day. I was looking to see who took them to get them graded, and I noticed you hadn't taken it, but you were, so. Anyway, if you get that taken care of, that'd be great.
Yeah, I plan on taking it tomorrow.
All right. Well, you have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow, Jasmine.
Okay, you have a good day too.